This is a very interesting story, the interpretation of which is often debated by biblical scholars. But I present only the facts for your judgment. And it is up to you, dear viewers, to give an assessment. So, Abraham was a righteous man and God chose him to multiply the people of Israel. God promised this biblical hero that a great and worthy nation would come from him. True, there was one small but. Sarah, Abraham's wife, could not get pregnant. In general, it should be noted that childlessness in those days was a real curse for people. In their opinion, the Lord concluded the womb of a barren woman for some particularly grave sins. Thus, the righteous simply must have children. However, this opinion was erroneous, which is proven by the biblical story itself. The righteous were often childless for a long time. For example, the parents of John the Baptist also had no children for a long time. But let's go back to Abraham. Time passed, but Sarah could not conceive. Of course, this state of affairs could not but upset. Why is this happening? Will God not fulfill his promise? And then Sarah, as a true woman, comes up with her solution to the problem and suggests that her beloved husband go in to her servant named Hagar. A very rash decision, isn't it? But Abraham, for some reason, and this is where scholars and theologians argue, agrees. Either his faith in God's power was shaken by years of waiting, or Sarah was too zealous with her request. We don't know for sure. But the fact remains, Hagar gave birth to Abraham's son Ishmael and unexpectedly, although is it so unexpected, began to be insolent and mock her mistress Sarah. Apparently she thought that she now had some special rights. Sarah, naturally, became indignant, and Abraham did not really stand up for Hagar, allowing Sarah to do with the servant whatever she thought necessary. Now Sarah began to oppress the servant so much that she fled with the child into the desert and only miraculously did not die from heat, thirst and hunger. As a result of this complicated relationship, Ishmael, born of Hagar, never became the man chosen by God, from whom the blessed people were to come. In other words, Sarah's undertaking was not crowned with success. And what about God? He turned out to be true to his promise, and Sarah gave birth to a son at the age of 90, all she had to do was wait until the time determined by God. She and Abraham named their son Isaac. It was he who became God's chosen one. And Ishmael finds himself in the position of the eldest son, excluded from the inheritance. At the same time, the relationship between Ishmael and his half-brother Isaac was complicated and ambiguous. On the one hand, the brothers came from the same father and were related. On the other hand, their destinies turned out to be radically different. Isaac inherits the promise and becomes the father of the people of Israel, while Ishmael remains an exile living in the desert. Despite his difficult fate, Ishmael also becomes the father of a large nation. The biblical narrative says that 12 princes descended from him, who founded nomadic tribes that inhabited the desert. Ishmael's descendants are known as Arabs, and they make up a significant part of the population of the Middle East. Ishmael's story is an example of how even in the most difficult circumstances of life, one can find one's place and become the father of a great nation. His life serves as a reminder that faith and trust in God can overcome any obstacles. No one should forget this.